Before gods sat on thrones of gold, before dragons soared across the skies, before time itself took shape, there was a stone. Not just any stone, but a vessel of cosmic power, sleeping atop the mountain of flowers and fruit. Then came the lightning. With a crack that split the heavens, the stone shattered, and from it emerged a creature like no other, born not of flesh, but forged from chaos, will, and divine fire. He would defy the gods. He would challenge fate. He would shake the pillars of heaven. This is a tale of rebellion, transformation, and immortality. This is the legend of Sun Wukong. This is the lore behind the Monkey King. The mountain whispered with wind and echoed with the howls of wild beasts. But at its crown sat a stone, ancient, weathered, pulsing with celestial energy. It had bathed in the sun's fire and cooled beneath the silver gaze of the moon. It was alive, though it did not breathe. And when the stars aligned and thunder split the sky, the stone cracked. From its core burst a figure unlike any born of womb or spirit, a monkey, radiant and primal, with golden eyes that gleamed like molten suns. He did not cry. He roared. The earth trembled with his first step. The clouds parted. The winds obeyed. He was chaos made flesh, energy in motion. The animals of the mountain watched in awe as he climbed, swung and soared. The rivers whispered his name before he even knew it. And he laughed, a wild, boundless laugh that echoed to the heavens. As he grew, he tested the limits of his world. He leapt across valleys with ease, raced the wind through canyons, and danced with danger at the edges of cliffs. He was a storm in fur and flesh, fearless and unshackled. One day, driven by a dream that felt older than memory, he dove through the veil of a waterfall. What lay beyond was a cavern of splendor, hidden for centuries. Crystals sparkled like stars, a natural throne waited in silence, and the waters that filled its basin glowed with moonlight. In that moment, Wukong knew this was not just a cave, it was a kingdom. He claimed it without question, and the other monkeys, in awe of his courage and brilliance, crowned him their king. Their cheers shook the trees, their loyalty was absolute. But even surrounded by joy, treasure, and worship, Wukong's soul stirred with unrest. He stared at the heavens by night, watched the withering leaves by day, and felt a truth gnawing at him. This would all end. Life was a candle, and even his flame would one day flicker out. The fear of death gripped him more tightly than any chain could. He would not fade. He would not fall. He would bend reality to his will if he had to. And so, with fire in his heart and defiance in his soul, Wukong made a vow. He would shatter the very laws of life. He would conquer death itself. Wukong left his throne, not in exile, but with purpose burning in every stride. The jungle faded behind him, replaced by deserts that whispered secrets and mountains crowned in eternal ice. Storms lashed his face. Rivers tried to drown him. Spirits in the wind tested his resolve. But nothing could sway him, not pain, not hunger, not time. He asked sages cloaked in shadow. He questioned monks who spoke in riddles. He searched scrolls and temples and ruins older than memory. But no one could grant him what he truly sought: freedom from the grip of death. Then, at the edge of the world, past mist-veiled ridges and forgotten trails, he found it. A monastery that seemed grown from the rock itself. It breathed wisdom, It shimmered with silence. This was the sanctuary of Patriarch Subodhi, a sage who had seen creation spiral into being and watched stars die in silence. Subodhi saw Wukong's fire and nearly turned him away. The monkey was loud, prideful, untamed. But Wukong bowed. He waited. Days passed, then weeks. He did not leave. And finally, the sage relented, not because he was moved, but because the universe whispered that this creature would shape the balance of the cosmos. Subodhi named him Sun Wukong, awakened to emptiness. A name not of honor but of challenge. Wukong's training was brutal and sacred. He meditated until his mind no longer knew the difference between self and stone. He memorized forgotten dialects and summoned fire from breath alone. He practiced martial forms under waterfalls, each movement an echo of thunder. His body became weapon, vessel, and spirit. Then came the forbidden arts, the 72 earthly transformations. With them, he could shift into bird, tree, mist, or vanish completely. And the cloud somersault, a bound that broke the sky, carrying him tens of thousands of miles in an instant. Still, it was not enough. Mortality lingered. So Wukong, ever defiant, invaded the underworld itself. The gates of death bent before him. The demon scribes cowered. He tore open the book of life and death, and with clawed fingers erased his name, and the names of every soul loyal to him. He returned to the world of the living triumphant, not as a monkey, not as a warrior, but as something else, unchained, eternal, unstoppable. And the heavens began to take notice. Wukong's defiance sent ripples through creation. The winds carried whispers of a monkey who had cheated death and learned the ways of gods. The celestial court stirred with unease. The Jade Emperor himself, ruler of heaven, summoned his advisors with furrowed brow. Their verdict was clever but foolish. Offer him a title, a position, a hollow honor to feed his pride and distract his ambition. And so Wukong was invited to heaven, not as a threat, but as the keeper of the heavenly stables. Wukong, curious and intrigued by the splendor of the immortal realm, accepted. At first he marveled at its beauty, the gleaming towers, the perfumed gardens, the endless skywalks. But soon, the truth curdled beneath the surface. He saw the smirks, heard the mockery. They hadn't honored him. They had insulted him. Fury bloomed. He returned to his mountain and declared to the world that he was not a servant. He was not lesser. He was the great sage equal to heaven. And the heavens trembled. Celestial generals were dispatched. Tianpeng, Nezha, the 4 heavenly kings. They came in waves, armed with divine weapons and the authority of the gods. But they did not face a monkey. They faced a storm. Wukong danced through their ranks, his body morphing, multiplying, vanishing in smoke and fire. His laughter echoed like thunder. His staff, plucked from the ocean's deepest vault, crushed their pride and shattered their formations. With each battle, Wukong's legend grew. The court was humiliated. The gods could not bind him, and so they changed tactics. They offered him legitimacy, a seat, a rank, a place among the immortals. He accepted, but never forgot. He wore their robes, he dined at their tables. But in his heart, he was waiting for the moment when heaven would dare test him again. Wukong's desire for greatness could no longer be contained. Power had become his companion, But now he sought a weapon, a true symbol of his might. The rumors spoke of an ancient relic buried beneath the eastern sea, guarded by dragons and cursed by time. He descended into the ocean's abyss and faced Guang, the Dragon King. The halls of the Sea Palace trembled as Wukong demanded a weapon worthy of a god. They brought forth pikes, halberds, and spears of celestial steel. He laughed. None could match him. Then, something stirred in the darkest chamber. A staff, black as night, heavy as mountains, forged to anchor the seas at the birth of the world. The Ruyi Jingu Bang. It pulsed with energy. It sang to him. And when his hand touched it, the ocean calmed. The staff shrank and danced to his will, able to grow as tall as the sky or vanish behind his ear like a hairpin. It had waited eons for a master, and now it had one. Not yet satisfied, Wukong took celestial armor, a phoenix feather cap, cloud-walking boots, and a golden mail shirt that shimmered like stars. He returned from the deep, not just as a warrior, but as an avatar of war. Then came the banquet, the Grand Peach Festival, hosted by the Queen Mother of the West, a feast meant for gods alone. Wukong, uninvited, took offense. He crashed the party like a comet through a palace roof. He gorged on the peaches of immortality. He drank the divine wine that granted eternal life. He emptied the sacred cauldron of Laozi's elixir. And when the gods caught wind of the chaos, he was already gone, trailing laughter through the clouds. The celestial court erupted in panic. Immortal soldiers clashed with him mid-air. The skies burned, mountaintops split. Not even the heavenly hound of Erlang Shen could hold him for long. He was uncatchable, unbeatable, unwilling to kneel. Heaven itself was unraveling. And so they turned to the last force in the universe, untouched by pride or fear, the Buddha. When the Buddha arrived, he did not command. He did not threaten. He smiled. He saw through Wukong, not just his power, but his pain, his pride, his storming, endless hunger. He offered a challenge, one simple task. Leap from my palm, and you are free to claim the heavens. Wukong laughed, insulted. Then he soared. Galaxies blurred. Stars turned to streaks. He flew farther than any soul had dared, until he landed at 5 glowing pillars rising from the edge of the void. He marked his name on one, urinated on another, and returned triumphant. But when he landed, the Buddha only chuckled. The pillars? His fingers. Wukong had never left his hand. In a single motion, the Buddha turned his palm, and the Monkey King was crushed beneath a mountain forged of the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. No force could lift it. No spell could unravel it. Wukong screamed. He begged. He cursed gods and fate alike. But the sky was silent. 500 years passed. Seasons came and went. Dynasties rose and fell. Birds nested in his hair. Moss grew over his prison. And the once roaring king became a whisper in the rocks. But the world had not forgotten him. Destiny had not finished with him. The time came when the heavens needed redemption, not through power, but enlightenment. A humble monk named Tang Sanzang was chosen to retrieve sacred scriptures from the West, to bring peace to a land lost in chaos. But his path was littered with demons, temptations, and death. He needed guardians. He needed a weapon like none before. And so, the Buddha sent a whisper through the void, and the mountain stirred. Wukong was released, not entirely. A golden circlet was placed upon his head, and with a single chant, the monk could summon pain that twisted like fire through his skull. Bound by obedience but gifted freedom, Wukong joined the monk. Alongside them came Zhu Bajie, the gluttonous swine spirit, Wujing, the sorrowful sand demon, and a dragon prince transformed into a white horse. Their journey spanned realms. They faced ogres in disguise, queens who bewitched with a glance, and spirits who wore the faces of gods. And Wukong fought, not just with fists, but with wisdom. He learned restraint. He bore insult without retaliation. He meditated beneath starlit trees. The monkey who once roared against the sky now bowed in silence to a greater path. Each trial refined him. Each chant of pain etched humility into his soul. The chaos in his heart settled into clarity. And when they reached the West, when the scriptures were won, Wukong stood not as a beast or a king, but as a being of light. The Buddha welcomed him once more, not as a prisoner, but as a brother. He was granted the title, Victorious Fighting Buddha, a god not of wrath, but of redemption. Sun Wukong began as stone, raw, wild, and defiant. He stormed the heavens. He mocked the gods. He dared to rewrite fate with his bare hands. But true strength is not rebellion. It is transformation. From pride he forged humility. From chaos he found purpose. He is legend not because he was unstoppable, but because he chose to change. This is the law behind Wukong, the Monkey King, the victorious Buddha, the immortal soul of defiance and hope. Thank you for journeying through the legend of Sun Wukong. If this tale stirred your imagination, brought wonder to your night, or simply helped you drift into dream, honor the myth by leaving a like, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and joining our growing circle by subscribing to the channel. This is just the beginning. Countless legends await beneath the stars. Until next time, stay woven in myth.